I hate like vlogging whenever there's anybody around. It's so awkward. And nobody gives a shit about anybody. I think it's funny that like we care so much about what people think, because really nobody gives a crap about anybody but themselves. You know, like nobody's worried about anything but themselves, like how they look, you know. Nobody's worried about you. It's okay. Like, stop stressing. Hey guys, my name is JAde, and in this video I wanted to talk to you guys about the struggles of not having your own creative space. So in case you don't know, I have all of my gear in the living room because I live in a 2-bedroom apartment and that's just the only place that it can be. I don't have an actual room to call my studio. And when I look at other YouTubers, you know, I do get a little jealous, not in a bad sense, but just like, you know, I want that, I want to have that. And I'm sure people get that feeling when they watch my videos too, when they see me like with a bunch of gear, not really knowing that I'm just in my living room with all this stuff. And I have no problem being in the living room if I'm by myself. But with the pandemic and others being home, it's just impossible to get creative with like others around me. I work best in solitude. I feel like that's when I'm my most creative, and that's definitely been a struggle. Not only making music, but trying to make these videos. Like I really want to make these videos, I really want to film, and there's so many things that I want to do, but I just cannot execute them at the time because of my environment. So like that definitely causes stress, and I'm sure I'm not the only one going through this, so hopefully this resonates with you in some type of way. So I had some gear in the living room, some gear in the bedroom, some gear like against the wall. It was just like all over the place. And although it seemed like a good idea at the time, like having 2 separate areas, you know, when nobody's in the living room, I can go to the room, vice versa. It was just too much. Like it was just too much to think about. It really didn't result in the best workflow. And I really feel like when everything is in one place all together, that's really when it's going to be more productive. So really find out what that place is going to be for you. Maybe it's going to be your bedroom for you. Maybe you live by yourself and it can actually be your living room. Maybe you can turn your whole living room into a studio like I did. You know, don't tell your wife I told you that. I'm really glad that like my husband is chill and he just lets me move stuff around and doesn't give me any grief about anything. I rearrange the house like every single day. But yeah, not proud of it. So not having my own music space has definitely put like a stop to my output, to just my creative output in general, not only making videos, but also making music. Like I said, I work best when I'm by myself. I just want to be by myself with a piano. Just leave me alone for like 2 hours and I'll be good. But it's impossible right now, and a lot of us don't get that luxury. And that takes me to my other topic, which is making music is really a luxury. I was watching this interview with McConan, not sure if you guys know about him, but he's a pretty cool rapper, and he was pretty much agreeing that yes, making music is a luxury. You know, everything has to be perfect in the environment, like the stars have to align for you to be able to make what you need to make. Something else that I want to talk about is like output and just making songs every single day, or not even every day, you know, because like it's difficult, but like making music as often as you can. So if you think of like composers like Mozart and Beethoven, you know, they wrote hundreds of songs, hundreds. It's like letting the faucet run before you really get to the pieces that you get to. And like sometimes I won't feel like making music, and then I'll sit down and I'll make a really good song, and it's like, oh, if I wouldn't have sat down, I would have never made this song. So really getting in the habit of just like making music every day. You know, it's a neural path in your brain that like, you know, sit down at the piano every single day. It's something that you have to like build up, and I'm working on that too. I also want to talk about like how easy it is for us to forget like where we've come from, especially because like we see how much farther we are from like our actual goal. So like I saw this picture and I thought it was pretty good representation of this, because like we see everything that we don't have, or like everything that we want to accomplish. Like for example, for me, one of my biggest goals is having my actual studio room. So like moving into a place where we have 3 bedrooms, and one of those bedrooms can be my music studio. Like that is one of my goals right now. So like, you know, send me good vibes that happens sooner than later. That would be awesome. But for now, you know, I'm in the living room, and often, like, you know, we get frustrated because of our situation and we're not where we want to be. You know, we don't have the resources or the time, and that can really like depress us or like make us frustrated. And I think it's important to like not forget where we came from. And I've never talked about this before on this channel because this is something very personal to my life, and even people that are close to me don't know this about me. But I lived in a hotel for 3 years, almost 4 years of my life, in 2011. So 2011, 12, 13, 14. In a hotel. And I'm not talking about like the Hyatt. I'm talking about like one of those weekly 139, you know, weekly hotels in the hood. Yeah, and it was not easy. It was not easy, and it's crazy to think, you know, like I used to make music on my cheap laptop with a $50 MIDI controller that I got at a pawn shop on Logic, and it was not as stressful. Well, it definitely didn't feel as stressful as I feel now, which is pretty crazy to think about, right? Because like it was just less. I had less problems. I had just, it was just less. So there was just less to think about. I don't know. It was definitely not the most ideal situation for anyone. If anybody's ever lived in a hotel or just been in a place where like you're almost homeless, it's very scary. You don't know what's gonna happen week to week. So this situation that I fell in, I really thought like, okay, I'm gonna live in this hotel maybe like 2-3 months. And it ended up turning into like 3-4 years, which is pretty crazy. After that, my boyfriend and I have saved up finally enough money to get our own apartment. A year after that, I got pregnant, and then while my daughter was like a few months old, I started my YouTube channel. With no hopes of anything. Like, the dream has never been to be a YouTuber. I feel like it's still not the dream. My dream is to do something with music, do something that I enjoy. But I was going to college while doing this YouTube channel, like putting all my energy into this YouTube channel, not with any hopes of anything, just because I really enjoyed it and it was a lot of fun, and it was a big community of like synthesizer people, and not only am I teaching, but I'm learning as I go. And that really goes to show that hard work pays off. So when I start to get depressed or like stressed about not having my own space and like how much more productive I would be if I actually had my own room, I then think about like, where I came from, and like just staying humble and really remembering and being grateful for like everything. So if you find yourself in a shitty situation, just remember that like this isn't permanent. Nothing is permanent. Everything is always moving. Everything is always changing, and it all starts with a thought. So like, plant seeds, pull weeds. It all starts with like your mentality and what you tell yourself and how you talk to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Really know like how much you've grown. Look back and see like how much you've grown, where it is you came from, what it's gotten to get to where you are today, and like where you're gonna be later on. Like it's exciting to think about, and good things happen, bad things happen. Life is just life. It's how you react to those things and what you do after the fact, Also, don't think that you need a specific piece of gear to make music. Like, when it was just my laptop and my MIDI controller, that's all that I had, and that's how I would make music. I made my beats then, I recorded into my laptop. I used a little microphone on the computer, like I would hold it up to my face and sing. And looking back, like all those were steps that I had to take. So like, don't think that you're not where you're supposed to be. Like, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Just never stop like wanting more. Not in a bad way, not like material things, but just like for yourself, for your growth. Like, where do you want to be as a person in 5 years? Like creatively, or like what would you like to have accomplished in a year? When are you going to release that first album? And it's really easy to release music now. Like, I remember like maybe like 10 years ago, I thought like being on iTunes or like on Spotify or like, like, wow, how do you do that? But it's really easy. Like, it's not a lot of money anymore. So really like set these goals for yourself, take those jams, polish them up, release an album, post it on Bandcamp, whatever. Just really make that effort to like output. And then you'll see, your fans will start to grow, and you'll start to get your name out there more and more. The more music you make, the better you're gonna get at it, right? I actually recently started posting like some old albums of compilations of tracks that I made like 4 years ago. And they're not perfect. They're flawless, not flawless. Sometimes I'll hit the wrong notes, but it's live. It's like a 16-minute, most of them are like 10, 15-minute long jams that they're just completely live, and they evolve, and like, they're exciting. And I thought it would be nice to like have them in a permanent place in my discography. I recently uploaded End in Mind, Lone Manta, Penguin Aspirations, and then I believe I have 2 more albums that I need to post. But they're not like new music, so like, don't get too excited. It's not the greatest thing, but they're just like pieces of history, of the JAde history, my history, in my music making. And I really beat myself up a lot about this because like I've made so much music. I'm talking about at least over 100 songs, I just say, I have made in my lifetime. But a lot of them are gone forever because of me being stupid and just being like, oh, maybe somebody's gonna hear this and, they're gonna hear me cursing, and then they're gonna tell somebody, and then, stupid things. So like, oh, I'm just gonna delete it and it's gone forever. And I really kick myself in the butt for that, because like there's so much music that I made that is no longer like in existence. Maybe I'll try to remake some of those old tracks, the ones that I remember. We'll see. But it's nice to like have a collection of like all your stuff in like a safe place, because not only because it's nice to go back and see like how much you've progressed, like I didn't pay attention to like being on beat, and like it was pretty bad. My beats were not the greatest, but they were very melodic. Like I've always been a very melodic person. Keyboard is my main thing. So like even if my drums were like completely unsynced and everything was a mess, my melodies were kind of dope. So you learn as you go. And not only that, but like I like listening to my music. It's like for me, it's not for anybody else. So like the things that I would write about back then, they were very personal things. And just listening to your own music and remembering where you were, how far you've come, where you are now, it really helps. I used to sing a lot. I play guitar. I used to sing a lot in my music. I haven't in a while, in a really long time. I've just been making instrumentals and electronic and lo-fi and all that. But who knows what the future holds for my music making journey. You guys know that like I have no genre. I'll make lo-fi one day and then ambient the next day, and maybe some reggae, I don't really have a set genre, and like that's because I'm not a set being. My interests are constantly changing, and that's okay. Like it's okay to be different. Don't tie yourself, don't put yourself in a box for anyone, especially in the way that you create, because like the whole dollars thing can get like really culty. Dollars or die. People kind of take it to an extreme sometimes and think because they're using expensive gear that automatically their music is just gonna sound better for some reason. But no, it's not that way. Don't let anybody put you in a box, especially yourself, because it's really easy to like get tied to like, okay, this is my identity, this is what I do, especially with like, lo-fi and stuff like that, or like this is what I make lo-fi hip-hop and stuff like that. No, you make music, you're a musician, you're an individual, you're creative, you're different. So if your environment isn't right and it just feels like not ideal to make music, and you're frustrated because you want to create but you can't because your kid's screaming right next to you, it's okay. Just know that this is where you need to be right now, and making music really is a luxury. So those times that you have to yourself, really take advantage of those times. Those times that you have solitude to create and be creative, really take advantage of those times. Making music really is a luxury. And for some people, they have their whole day, they have their own room, they have the perfect environment to be able to be creative and have their output like at a maximum output, right? But for others, it's not that time right now, and that's okay. So just because I'm not making videos right now doesn't mean that I'm never gonna be able to make videos. Or just because I'm not able to work on this song right now doesn't mean I'm ever gonna be able to work on this song, right? So if everything in the world is telling you, you can't work on music right now, just listen to the world and focus on whatever it is that the world is telling you that you need to focus on at the time. I know we would all love to be making music 24/7. I would love to like be in a cabin in the woods by myself, just making beats forever. All day long, surrounded by nature. That just sounds like amazing. But that's not the reality of things, right? I have a family, and I love my family, of course, but I'm an artist and I need time to myself. I need time to create. Woohoo! Another thing is, don't be on anybody's schedule. Don't feel, especially with YouTube or like making music or posting on social and stuff, like they tell you that like, oh, you have to have a schedule. Every single, Thursday, this and that. And like, that's a lot of stress. So like, I'm not doing that. I'm not putting that stress on myself. If the world is telling me, like my environment is telling me, you can't make a video right now, you can't record right now, this is what you need to do right now, that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm not gonna stress about it. When it's time to make videos, you guys know I'll be back. I'm gonna post, I'm not gonna stop posting. I'll post, just not as much as I want to be posting. And that's okay, because, better things are coming. Good vibes to you guys. Be patient. Be humble, remember where you came from, and stay fly. Peace.